Hello everybody, Fertility Journals here. If you're new, please don't forget to subscribe and join the family. I decided to start this YouTube channel as a way to continue the conversation on infertility because when I was undergoing my own IVF journey, I relied heavily on YouTube and the wonderful infertility warriors in this space that were able to share the experience. I personally underwent 12 IVF cycles and eventually led to success. We have a wonderful baby boy, and I thought that I would give back by just sharing my experience in this space. I am not a medical professional, but since I had been through the process a few times, I thought that I could be a part of the community that raises awareness about the infertility journey. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that is in the infertility community, but it is important to talk about. It's kind of taking a piece of that journey and really personalizing it to my background and my experience. I think that this information will be useful for anybody, and it's an important conversation to have. So if you were interested about Black infertility, please stay tuned. In my experience, guys, when it comes to Black infertility, it is multifaceted and comes in multiple ways. I not only identify as Black, African American, but I am African. My roots are in Africa. And when it comes to infertility, there was a lot that I learned throughout my journey that really shocked me. The first thing I learned in my journey is that infertility affects Africans as well as Black women in general, and sometimes even more for a wide variety of reasons. And for me, what I was able to see when I went through my infertility was Google stories about people in my country who had gone through infertility, and they were kind of hiding it, and they were worse, ashamed of it. So they believed actually that it was a curse, that they were not able to have a child. And men in my traditional culture would sometimes get another wife, and the present wife would be so depressed because they didn't even understand why they were not able to have a baby. And I noticed that there was a lack of education around that issue, and many did not even know that they had to go to the doctor. And on the male fertility side, the men were in denial because they'd go and move on to another woman, and the other woman would still not get pregnant. And male diagnosis was something that was unheard of until just this day and age. I think within the last five years probably, based on just the research that I was able to see. And so the taboo and the shame is similar in the West as well. And it's like people don't talk about it. When I went through it, it was kind of like a shock. It was the secret, I think, that we, regardless of society, tend to harbor. And so that was something that I think made me quite angry, quite frankly, because when I saw that my people went through it and some were brave enough to talk about it, I think I felt upset that this wasn't something that was more a part of the conversation. The second thing that I learned about Black infertility is this whole issue about the health factors that affect us. That is the issue primarily of fibroids. In Black women, African women, fibroids are rampant, and they do affect fertility in a number of ways. And working with a doctor is critical. I did not know that. My friends did not know that, both in the West and also in Africa. When I talked to them about that, fibroids can impact your fertility. And it's, again, an experience that many women went through, but they don't necessarily talk about it. So it's almost as if you fall into it by doing research or going through infertility on your own. And so if you're watching this and you happen to have fibroids and you are a woman of color or you are African, please know that it is normal. It affects a lot of us, and you just have to work with your doctor to be able to get the right advice about how to proceed forward with regards to preserving your fertility. The third thing I learned about Black infertility was something that I underwent myself. Guys, I honestly believe that because I grew up the entire 20 years of my life before moving into the Western world, I was raised on an organic diet. And I know that diet affects things. And so for part of me, I don't know why I felt like diet would help my egg quality. Now, I'm not saying that diet doesn't, because obviously there's the book, It Starts with the Egg, which talks about biology. But I think when you reach a certain age, in my experience, I learned that my eggs were just older. At the time, I had 44-year-old eggs. And that was why it took so long for me to get to my, to get to my miracle baby. I had to undergo multiple IVF cycles in order to get to that egg, because the majority of the other eggs were just not okay. And so it didn't matter that I ate, organic food, that I had a pure diet. You were born with all the eggs you will ever have. And so that was, I think, powerful, because I remember when the doctors would actually tell me to pursue donor egg, I would say, well, I don't need to go into that. And then the excuse I would give, or I would say, would be that, I am on an organic diet, I'm healthy. And one of the blessings that I underwent in going through my IVF cycles, because I chose to learn from each cycle, my body was actually telling me that my egg quality was poor. And that's when I learned the truth about what it is. The other thing we learned about Black infertility that I think is important to talk about is the fact that Black women, African women, that we can just have children, that men can just look at us and we can get pregnant. I'm telling you, I was so shocked, to be honest with you, that being of African descent, that I would experience age-related infertility, because I had 50-year-old aunties who I'm trying not to get pregnant. But fertility is different for everybody. I mean, I know women even in the West. I tell you guys about the YouTubers that inspired me. Laura Laws is one of them. She was in my age group. She was 40. In each IVF, she had like 20 plus eggs. Now, majority of them were actually not normal, but she had a lot of eggs. So you don't have to be of a particular ethnic group to be fertile. It is just what it is. And so I really needed to work on that, because a part of me literally believed that because I was African, that I could have children at any age. And the reality is, infertility affects everyone. It is all about your diagnosis. It is all about the testing that they do, your hormone levels, where you are individually. It affects everybody differently. There are women who are my age who can have children naturally. Now, granted, it does go down, because I just turned 45. I gave birth to my baby when I was 45 years old and 2 days. His birthday is 2 days after mine. But right now at 45, fresh, I turned 45. Obviously, I know that my infertility, now that I'm educated, has gone down, because now I understand what it's like. So I think it was a lack of education to believe that because I identify as African American, I am of African descent, born and raised in Africa, that because I'm Black, I'm fertile. That is far from the truth. In fact, data has shown that Black women in the United States, I think the data was based on that, do suffer infertility a lot more than other groups, because of some of the things we talked about. For example, the fibroids and how it impacts women's health. And so, folks, I know I'm missing something when we talk about Black infertility, but let's talk about it. Leave a comment below. What are the myths that you have heard about Black infertility? What are some of the things that you're learning as you undergo your journey that will empower you as a woman of color, or even as a woman in general, just what you've learned about this whole infertility conversation? I would love to hear from you. So thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoy content like this and you have not yet subscribed, I would love to have you. I think there's power in conversations, and I would love to continue this work, to be able to contribute to this space as best as I can based on my experience, because there's a lot of education we need to do as women to empower the other women coming in the next generation, because life is changing and it is not the same. My mother had me when she was 22. I had my first baby when I was 44 years old. Times are changing. It's just not the same. So I think we need to leave a blueprint in this space to motivate and empower the others who may not be getting this information as they mature as they mature in their life, for lack of a better word. I don't want to say age, in their life. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Until my next video, bye.